You're watching Beyond Market. Welcome. I'm Esther Awuni. On the show today, we'll discuss former President Olusegun Obasanjo's letter to President Buhari in Nigeria's 2019 elections. As always, you can join the conversation with the hashtag Beyond Market. You can also follow my Twitter handle too, at Esther Ubudaga. Now, in a penned public letter, Nigeria's former President Olusegun Obasanjo advised President Muhammadu Buhari not to seek re-election in the 2019 elections. Obasanjo notes that to ask the Buhari-led administration to give more will be unrealistic and will only sentence the country to a prison term of 4 years, if not destroy it, beyond the possibility of an early recovery and substantial growth. Now, joining me to discuss these and more, Sonny Aminu Dutsima, Managing Director, Islamic Banking and Finance Institute. He joins us from Abuja, while Engineer Martin Onovo, a former presidential candidate of the National Conscience Party, is with me in the studio. Thank you so much for taking the time out to join us today.
Thank you.
Martin, let me start with you, since you're closest to me here in the studio. Obviously, you've read the letter, and a number of issues were drawn out. So what would you say, very briefly, 2 key takeaways for you? What did you come away with after reading that letter?
Well, I came away very proud of Chief Dr. Obasanjo for having played the role of a statesman. Because what he said is what we have said in the last 2.5 years, but it comes with a lot more authority, because what we say is viewed as a position of opposition parties. But more critically, he was a very strong supporter of General Buhari for the 2015 election. So his assessment comes up very strong and a little bit more acceptable than our positions, which are critical of the government.
Okay, Mr. Dusima, let me start with you also. What are your thoughts? What would you say is the number one key takeaway for you after reading the letter from former president to President Buhari?
Yes, Esther. I was not impressed. I was not surprised, and it shocked me. And whatever Obasanjo said in that letter has been said in one way or the other. Now, if we take it from that context, you will know that right from Shagari's regime up to Jonathan, Mr. Jonathan that left last before Buhari, Obasanjo has written to almost everybody. He has said everybody is bad, everybody doesn't know how to do it, you're the only one that is good, you're the only one that knows how to do it better. So I don't think, it's just a matter of that journalists, we want to make a noise about something, but I don't think that is anything new that Obasanjo said that should surprise anybody. I mean, he has said it to everybody. He has said it to almost every president that was, including the military. I can recall, including Babangida. I can recall, including Abacha, and everybody. I mean, Obasanjo has written to them, and he's a loud mouth. He has said a lot.
Now, yes. It was obviously a broad letter, but he did mention some specific issues, especially around the economy. But I suppose at the time that we're in right now, the security situation, especially the issue around the cattle herdsmen and the farmers in Benue State.
Yeah, yes, he has said so. And I can recall during Obasanjo, there is the OD crisis in Bayelsa State, there is this FA, Madukuke in the South, there is the, what do you call it, Oheli, and this, is it Oheli Ishekiri crisis, there is this TIB and Jukun crisis. I mean, these are things that has happened during each and every president. Now, I have said it to you, Esther, one time, if you recall. I said the problem we are having is the quality of our leadership. Obasanjo is not excluded. Buhari is not excluded. None of our former president is excluded from the quality of leadership. So I think even if, what do you call him, Obasanjo talked about this, and this has been happening in this country. It's not just the first time that these crises are happening. I mean, we should be sincere to ourselves. We should get politics out of this thing and talk about this nation.
All right, I mean, hold that thought for us. Martin, let me come to you. I see you smiling. You want to react to that?
Yes, I agree with a lot of the things you have said about these things are known, these things have been said. But like I said, the authority which Obasanjo speaks is a little bit different from the authority which people like us from opposition parties speak. In addition to what he has said, yes, even in the US, there are security situations. So it's not the same in intensity. There have always been economic challenges. It's not the same. There has always been corruption. It's not the same. This is the worst we have seen. That's very clear. And there are indices. For example, if you take the economy, and we all agree that we're going to use GDP, unemployment, inflation, public debt, and Naira exchange rate to evaluate the economy. On every index, this is the worst we have seen. So it's also not very accurate to insist that, oh, there have always been challenges. Yes, but this is the worst, very clearly.
Okay, I mean, let me come to you. Let's go deeper into some of the specific issues that former President Obasanjo mentions in his letter, starting with the economy. Of course, the summary of what he said concerning the economy is that the administration has been slow to take decisive steps, and that has had a ripple effect on the economy, and that if certain decisions were taken in a timely manner, probably the economy would be in a better shape than it is. What is your response to that?
My response is simple, Esther. Now, it's a nation or even an individual is built gradually from stage to stage. Now, we have a nation whereby we don't own anything and we don't have anything. When I say this, I mean it with sincere respect. Obasanjo have sold each and every asset that belongs to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, including 1- and 2-bedroom flat houses that is owned by the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Obasanjo has sold almost every asset, which is a national asset in this country. Now that is where the beginning of our economic crisis started in this Federal Republic of Nigeria. Don't forget, now Nigeria is almost like an economic colony of South Africa. When you look at our telecommunication, look at our road network, look at our supermarket, everything today is owned by foreign countries, more especially South Africa. Why? Because we have sold each and every asset that belongs to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and it was sold by Obasanjo. That was the beginning. I am an economist. I am equally a politician. That is the beginning of the crisis, of economic crisis of this country, because Nigeria has now ceased to have anything. Now, how can we think that? How can we think that the economy now, it is just now or today or yesterday when Buhari came in, that's when the crisis started? Well, let us be sincere. I keep saying that. Let us get politics out of this. Let us talk about this nation. Let us look at the crisis, the economic crisis we are in. Good and fine, yes, it's bad. But as an economist, I keep telling you that most of these figures that we display to public, this figure that we say the GDP, these are sometimes bogus. These are economy is not simply like like medical sciences whereby you say your body temperature, this and that. That is almost bogus. The fact is simple, that we have made an economy, or rather we have built a nation. The nation we have built a nation, but somebody came, by the way, sometime somewhere and tried to destroy this nation economically. And now we are trying to rebuild it. Now that is where we missed the point. If we are to build something that has been destroyed, we don't expect to build it within 1 day or 2 days. Most of us have known it today that Nigeria is trying to feed itself. Nigeria is now having almost abundant food production in this country. That is the beginning of building a nation, an economic nation. Now, it's not simply because we don't have, or rather, we don't have foreign exchange. That is not a nation. That is not the economy. We have to raise up. We have to eat what, we say in the valley of politics that you have to eat what you grow. You have to grow what you eat. This is where we are going. This is where the nation. We have to start somewhere to have the pain, to feel the pain, not the comfort of before the comfort that we had. We had the money of buying almost this luxury and expecting that we are in a luxury nation. No, we are not. We are in a crisis. Yes, we are. But we built this crisis by destroying our nation. This destruction did not start about three years ago or just simply 4 years ago.
Okay, I'm going to have to ask you to hold that thought for us. Martin, let me come to you. You mentioned a number of points there. But I guess it's not the fact that these problems do not exist, not with us. It's perhaps the fact that former President Obasanjo perhaps doesn't have the moral ground to come up and say and be the one to point these issues out. We already know what the issues are. And General Obasanjo, former President Obasanjo, goes on to say that this administration has given its best, what he terms his best, and cannot give further, and we should begin to look for a third option. What are your thoughts on that?
We must be scientific. We must be scientific. The hard facts are that as at the day the current government was sworn in, it inherited a growing economy. That's a fact. Today, the economy has declined. That's a fact. The economy declined under this horse rider. Now, General Obasanjo, in his statement, talked about untenable excuses. And these untenable excuses and justification for incompetence and corruption can only lead us further down this drain. We must increase our standards. If we continue to degrade our standards, we will only perform worse, like Chief Dr. Obasanjo has said. So, claiming that these problems were accumulated, if you plot using any economic index, inflation, for example, if you say we have more food, why is it that prices of food have gone up? According to government official records, not opposition party records. So a lot of these comments are not scientific and not tenable. And Chief Dr. Obasanjo had said in his statement, complained about untenable excuses. So let us be scientific. Let us use data. Even if you use government data, this is the worst government in the history of Nigeria.
Okay, so when this administration comes to say that, look, it was already in the works, the fact that we were going to fall into a recession, it was unavoidable, and the fact that we did see a major dip in commodity prices, especially oil, and that would have, under any administration at all, whether the PDP had won, whether former President Jonathan had retained his seat for a second term, that the economy would still have gone under. It was a matter of
false.
Who the ball fell on.
False. Untenable excuses.
Hold on. Mr. Aminu, you wanted to say something?
Yes, please. The economic engineers of Jonathan before he left government, Ekwenja Uwela, Buhari, Sanusi Lamido, and others, have they not clearly stated that this country is going into a deep recession when whoever comes into power? Have they not said that one? These are facts. You see, I keep saying that. Let us get politics out of this. I was a presidential aspirant. Probably you didn't know that. I was part of PDP. I was a presidential aspirant in PDP. I wanted to contest it for myself, Jonathan, and Buhari, not Buhari, Atiku Abubakar, and Sarah. I was in politics. I know these issues. But the issue is simple. Yes, we know things are not perfectly all right. Things are not, but what we are saying is that we have to start somewhere to build a nation that he thinks that, or rather Obasanjo thinks that we should have. Obasanjo had 8 years in this country as a civilian president. He had about 3 or 4 years as a military president. Now, I think, to be fair to others, he should not think that he was the only one that did bad. He was the worst president of Nigeria. Believe me honestly. I try to say this with all humility. I try to say that we try to look at this country that, look, there are allegations that are here and there. There are some of our presidents, either current president or previous president, where in one way or the other CIA agent or this way and that way. We are operating under one kind of another new colonial hand-picked president. Now, all these allegations, that is where we try to look at whenever Obasanjo opened his mouth to suspect where is he going and whose service is he going to is he going to analyze. That is it.
Okay, Mr. Sani,
let him be a Nigerian and look at Nigeria and talk about Nigeria, and not to condemn everybody and say that I am the best. Obasanjo, in that paper, if you read it, every statement is that the African leader.
Okay, Mr. Sani, we're going to have to take a break. Hold that thought for us. We'll come back to continue with the discussion. I've been speaking to Mr. Sani Aminu Ditsima, Managing Director, Islamic Banking and Finance Institute, and of course, Engineer Martin Onovo, former presidential candidate of the NCP. As we continue our discussion on Nigeria's former President Olusegun Obasanjo's letter to President Buhari and the country's 2019 elections. Still with me are Sani Aminu Ditsima, Managing Director, Islamic Banking and Finance Institute from Abuja, and Mr. Engineer Martin Onovo, former presidential candidate of the NCP, with me in the studio. Martin, let me continue with you. Okay, just 1 minute. Just your reactions to what
If I am president, I will not be perfect. It is very unfair, it is unscientific to claim that Chief Dr. Obasanjo was not the best in the Fourth Republic. And we can use indices. When you talk about fighting corruption, Even the institutions fighting corruption today were initiated and established by Chief Dr. Obasanjo. Very clear. When you talk about power, the National Integrated Power Project of Chief Dr. Obasanjo is what is giving us even the opportunity to have even 1 hour supply per day. If you look at security, Chief Dr. Obasanjo, if you look at security, Chief Dr. Obasanjo did better than anybody else in this Fourth Republic. So if you look at the Fourth Republic, it is very clear that after Obasanjo, it is Yar'Adua. Unfortunately, Yar'Adua didn't have enough time. Solving problems and making developmental progress, Chief Dr. Obasanjo is #1 in the Fourth Republic, very clearly.
Okay, Mr. Sonny, let me come to you. I don't want us to dwell too much on this point. I really want us to move on. Let's move on to the part of the letter where former President Obasanjo says that it calls for a third option, in quotes, suggesting a coalition for Nigeria made up of what he calls concerned and willing Nigerians. I'd like you to share your thoughts on that. The idea of a third option.
My thought is that he is being very unpatriotic. There is a constitution in the Federal Republic of Nigeria that has stipulated the way of gaining power into Nigeria. And that is through the election, and that's through the political system. Now, if Obasanjo is deciding that, look, well, we don't want the constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, just like he said when he wanted to go for the third term, his third term option, I think it's unfortunate. Well, what he should have done is simply to say that, okay, good and fine. Now, Buhari, you are not, I mean, I don't want to vote for you as I voted for you, and I don't want to support you as I supported you. So therefore, I'm going to support Mr. A or Mr. B based on this and that. That's as simple. He had that right. But he doesn't have the right to tell Nigerians that, look, we don't want to go through the constitutional process of gaining power. I myself, Mr. Obasanjo, who is the Messiah of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I have come with another option. I think that is, I mean, that is a mentality that I am tired. Esther, I visited you in that your office one time, if you recall. And I keep telling you that the quality of our leadership is extremely, extremely poor. I was in secondary school about 1970-something when Obasanjo was a president. And up to today, Obasanjo has offered nothing to tell this country, in order for him to dictate to this country. Obasanjo have spent almost $16 billion on education, on power. Obasanjo was the regime of Obasanjo that we see money being displayed in public places, the National Assembly, as corruption. I mean, what has Obasanjo? Why should Obasanjo offer a new strategy for us to get out of this mess we are in? I said it, and I keep saying it, that if we don't want the constitution of Nigeria, if we don't want to go through the process of the constitution, let us come and change it through the process of the National Assembly, through the legal way, through the nigger channel, but not for somebody to come and bring another formula that he doesn't want at the election. Who is he in this country? He has done his own time, he has finished his own time, he will go back and arrest, like he is dictating to Buhari to go arrest. He should go arrest too.
Hold that thought for us. Martin, let me come to you. But I want you to speak on this idea of the third option. I mean, I was looking at the front page of the This Day newspaper yesterday, a story about this politicking and political positioning for a third party and all of that. But my question to you is, when there's this call for a third option, but there are also political parties, other political parties in the 2015 elections, and just this year alone, over 20 new political parties have been registered. So why is it that we do not focus on the fact that there are other political parties? Why this thinking?
In 2015, we had 14 parties presenting presidential candidates. So we had 14 options. If you ask me for a third option, I would say that is the National Conscience Party. I do not agree with my compatriots that what Chief Dr. Obasanjo has done is unpatriotic. It is very patriotic, and it is constitutional. Freedom of association is constitutional. In a democracy, you try to mobilize the majority. And through a coalition, you can get a majority. He didn't say overthrow the Constitution. I have read that letter 2 or 3 times, checking every sentence. That letter is very statesmanly, and it conforms with the rule of law. So what?
You don't think it's inciting in any way?
No.
Calling on the youths, calling on people, people to form a certain, I mean, he keeps stressing coalition for Nigeria.
He called on the youth to rise up to defend their country. That's very important. And to work for the development of their country. That's the right thing. You want the youth not to work for...
And it's not subject to different interpretations, you don't think?
No, it's not, except mischievous interpretations.
But isn't the danger there for it to be subject to different kinds of
No,
interpretations?
mischievous people will have mischievous interpretations. It's written in English. The official language of Nigeria is English. What do you mean? The Nigerian Constitution can be subject to mischievous interpretations. The statements you and I make on this, in this station, on this program, they are subject to mischievous interpretation. So we cannot encourage mischief. We need to discourage mischief. Chief Dr. Obasanjo is a celebrated technocrat, and he has a PhD. And he's a statesman and a great patriot, not only for Nigeria, but for Africa. Chief Dr. Obasanjo ranks after the Zik of Africa, Mandela. It is Chief Dr. Obasanjo.
Okay, Sonny, let me come to you. Let's talk about implications for the 2019 elections. We're already we're in the first half of the year, and we're expecting things to pick up in the second half of the year against 2019. I'm just thinking of ramifications for elections, how this will impact on voter mentality, as it were, because there's the growing call for a third option, as it were. You know, I've heard some, key figures in the public domain talk about the fact that they do not see an option between the APC and the PDP. And if you go on social media, there are very vibrant conversations about that, what people are now calling a dilemma, 6.5 dozen, if you will. So I'm just thinking, how is this going to influence or shape 2019 elections when it does come?
Certainly, by myself personally, I don't see any difference between APC and PDP. I'm a member of APC, and I told you I was a member of PDP one time or the other. And today, I don't see the difference between APC and PDP. And the third option that anybody brings out, I don't see it, because, as you say, it sounds to me like an incitement. And I obviously know that the only two parties that probably have to present a formidable candidate or other candidate that will make any impression are the two parties, PDP and APC. And to me and to my own thinking is that we are going to have an election of two parties that almost was a great dichotomy. To my understanding, PDP has now turned out to be a southeast party, with all apology, and it looks to me that PDP or APC is now coming towards to be more of a party in the north. And I really don't like the situation, and I really don't find myself comfortable with such a situation. And I'm hoping that there will be a situation whereby probably there will be another third party that will be the game changer, that will come and nullify the great dichotomy that we have in this.
But Mr. Sonny, when you say a third party, we have several political parties already in existence. We have
over 60.
Over 60.
Yes. National Conscience Party.
Yes.
National Conscience. He's right here in the studio with me.
Yes. There are parties and there are parties. If you understand what I mean. I mean, previously we had parties that have never even won a councillorship election, and they are still legally and politically they are parties. But what I'm saying is that if we have to change the situation now there has to be a group of people who will have to join another party in one way or the other, or simply probably the two great parties of APC and PDP probably might change their candidates. Don't forget, I think I understand the last election, it was the candidates that changed the game between Buhari and Jonathan. It was not the party actually that changed the game, but the candidates. And I don't know. The current president has not declared that he's going to contest by election, and all this talk that we are doing and we are saying is something is speculative. Okay. And PDP has not even set up to say that they are going to put Mr. A or Mr. B.
Mr. Sonny, I'm going to have to ask you to hold that thought for us. We're pressed for time here, and I want to give Engineer Martin time to talk.
With respect to, yes. With respect.
Now, I mean, that's a good question. Do you see this as an opportunity for other parties, like the National Conscience Party of Nigeria, to perhaps rise up to this, perceived challenge, as it were, to come up with a new option, as it were?
Coalitions have been here in whatever form, whether alliances or mergers, since the First Republic. Last year, the National Conscience Party, NCP, was part of the 15-party coalition. And we have an understanding that we will work as an alliance. And we're inviting other parties to join that coalition. So the idea of coalition, like we said, will also help unite the country, like my compatriot.
Is that a plan for this political cycle?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Oh, definitely. Like my compatriot Sani has said, in 2015, immediately after this government was inaugurated, when we saw the first few steps and policy decisions of the government, we accused the government of three things: deceitfulness, divisiveness, and dictatorship. Those were the three things we accused the government of. And I think that Sani, as a member of the APC, has just confirmed. Because by saying that the divisions are growing under this government, what is the motto of Nigeria? Peace, unity, faith, and progress. A government should take responsibility and unite the people.
Martin, thank you so much for being a part of it.
Thank you very much.
To Sonny Aminu Dutsima, Managing Director, Islamic Banking and Finance Institute, and Engineer Martin Onovo, former presidential candidate of the National Congress Party.